Have a copy. Today, and then we go to
Should be enough. I might be.
leave that for the end. Okay, so we're going to be studying something that seems to have nothing to do with what we learned before. Verbal harassment was the subject, and now we're going to start a legal discussion. And the subject of Tuma and Tara. I want to just let you know that the Gemara of the Talmud and the Mishnah are divided into 6 sections. You know the sections, what they're called? Royim, Moed, Nashim, Nezikim, Kodshim, Tahares. Royim are the agricultural laws, like the laws of Truma and Meiser, Meiser Rishon, Meiser Sheni, the sabbatical year laws, Shvius, Peah, leaving the side of the field for the poor, all the gifts for the poor, agricultural laws. And then we have, which also includes brachos, blessings, because we make brachos on food, which has a lot to do with the things that grow from the ground. Then there is the halakha, the section called Moed, which are related to times like Shabbos and Yom Tov laws. Section 2. Section 3 is women, laws related to women, marriage, divorce, levirate marriage, marriage contracts, and so on. The 4th section of the Talmud is monetary law, civil law, criminal law, partnership laws, lost and found. If you found something, if you found a lost object, what do you do? When do you have to give it back? When can you keep it? Also includes the Sanhedrin, the laws of the Supreme Court, and when does a person get lashes? These are all in that section. It's so funny.
Yeah, remember when you were explaining that the part of maybe Shulchan Aruch, like you said that the financial part, or is that we should learn that.
Yeah, sure.
And said, for sure.
There's a reason why boys learn it. Financial, all financial laws, monetary laws. And then we have the 5th section called Kodshim, laws related to sacrifices. Also includes how do you slaughter an animal. All the laws of kashrut are there. That's the 5th section. And the final section deals with the most complicated laws, meaning to which objects, which people are susceptible to impurity, to ritual impurity. A dead body, for a carcass, or an animal, a dead animal, or a dead rodent comes in contact with food, or with a certain vessel, utensil, or with an oven, does that oven become automatically impure just because of the physical contact? So what does it have to do with verbal harassment? So far, nothing. But we're going to soon see a story, a very powerful story here with Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua concerning the status of a certain oven. Let's take a look at the first page. I don't know if you have this page. You should have this page from last week. If you don't, I have an extra copy here. Okay, this is the page that begins, it looks like this, and on the right side, it says the following Mishnah alludes to an incident in which a Tana was offended after quoting the Mishnah. The Gemara relates the incident and how quickly his prayers were answered. Yes, I have more than one. Whoever doesn't have, I have right here. We'll take that. I have another one. You should have it last week. I think you should have. Here's another one. But there's also another page after this. Okay. Wait 1 second. You didn't make a copy right, Robert. On the next one here. Okay, here's another page. Pass this page also down. This page also. Or good. You should have it from last week. I think it's the last page. What you did.
I don't have any.
People don't know what they're doing over here. For sure. I trust them, but I put my trust. Yeah, I might have to do it by heart, but should have it from last week, the 1 page at least, the beginning of it.
What does it have to say?
It's the page on the second. Hold on. It begins with on the right side of the page, you'll see on the top part, not where the notes are. You see 59A3 where it says the following Mishnah alludes to an incident in which a Tana was offended. That's page we're supposed to be learning right now. And it comes with another page, this page also. You have the first page with another page. Work.
Is this the white one?
He didn't know.
Next to your life?
Can I see? I can't see it. Yeah. Yeah, but we don't have that.
Where
page.
it says this is not a difficulty,
What?
where it says this is not a difficulty,
Where's that?
the page you gave me.
We made the wrong copy.
Oh, I'm reading from right to left.
No, that's not it. Anyway, I guess I have to do my copy myself next time. Not to trust anyone else. If we didn't make the copy properly.
Yeah.
I gotta do it myself. All right, you don't have it? 50, the page that starts, on top of the page, it says the first word is worship. Very top of the page on the left side, the first word is worship. You have that, okay. Worship. Third one, you don't have that. I just gave you that. I gave you that page. You fine?
Sorry.
Yeah.
A little bit confusing.
Yeah, because she didn't make any, she didn't know what you were doing. Why they can't use common sense? Okay, whoever has the page, good, if not, not. We have learned in the Mishnah. If someone, here's the rule, here's the earthenware, if vessels made from earthenware, it's susceptible to becoming tamei. It can be, if a person who passed away, if this came in contact with a dead person or a dead rodent, that oven will be susceptible to tumah, meaning it's tamei, you can't use it. Okay. So here we learn what happens if the oven is not a normal oven. It has, look at the footnote, you see a footnote 38, Rashi explains what this actually means. There's a whole dispute, that's what we're going to learn about, and a dispute turned into a very big argument, and it turned into an offensive argument. Rashi explains that the Tanoim, whoever has footnote 38, disagree whether this type of oven, a certain oven, has the same status of an ordinary earthenware oven. An ordinary earthenware oven looked like a large pot in those days. It was a gigantic pot. It was usually hardened in a furnace as a single piece, cemented to the ground or to a board, and then insulated with plaster so that it would retain its heat. That's a normal oven. Such an oven is surely susceptible to tumah. There's no question about that. But the oven of this Mishnah that we're going to be discussing differs from that type in one important respect. It was composed of sections held together with a sand-based cement. In other words, this leads to the Tanaic dispute recorded in the Mishnah. Rabbi Eliezer maintains, and we'll soon see the names, that since the cement was never baked, the cement that's holding the oven together was never baked, the oven has the status of an unbaked earthenware, which is not susceptible to tumah. The sages maintain, however, that since the sections themselves are made of hardened earthenware, the oven is. In other words, most of the oven is made of that which is susceptible to tumah. But what's holding it together, like the cement, the sand base, sand, without being baked, is not able to be susceptible to tumah. So do you go by the majority of the looks of the keli, or do you go by that which holds the keli together? That's the dispute. So Rabbi Eliezer was very vehement about this. Rabbi Eliezer says, it is okay, it's not tamei, it's tahor. Don't discard the keli, don't throw it away, it's good. You can still use it. The sages, the majority of all the sages, argue with Rabbi Eliezer. So he fought against the majority. The sages declare it tamei. You have the next page? 59b1, beginning with it, starts with the words, and this is the oven of the coiled serpent.
Yes,
You don't have it?
I do not. Yeah.
Okay, so if you have it, good. If you didn't make your copy properly. This oven was called the oven of the coiled serpent. Why was it called the oven of the coiled serpent? Not the oven was made from a serpent. No, the oven was a disputed oven, was a very controversial issue. Is it okay? Can you reuse it, or is it not okay? And there were so many questions that the rabbis bombarded Rabbi Eliezer. He claimed that it's okay. They bombarded him, and it's compared to a snake. You know, a snake coils like a python, coils around its and chokes. They were choking him with questions and questions and questions, and he still argued. He said, "No, I am right," and we'll soon see what he did to prove that he's right against the majority. You can't fight the majority. It's a very big problem. In fact, we'll soon discuss. Very important not to have different laws in the same city. Yes, I'm going to throw this in right now. Well, some people think they're wrong, but they think that there's a kosher Eruv here in Crown Heights. Even if they were right, because the Rabbanim of Crown Heights and the majority of the people here believe that it's forbidden to carry, you're not allowed to be makel. You're not allowed to carry, at least not openly in front of them. And by doing so, you're causing a fragmentation of frum Jews, as if we have two sets of laws. It's a very, very, very terrible sin. And it causes strife, it causes discord, it causes a lot of problems. It's a pasuk in Chumash. It's not directly so clear, but there's a Gemara that says you're not allowed to cause different, even if where people are lenient, you're not allowed to be machmir. Kal v'chomer, people are machmir, are stringent. And you are lenient, especially about halacha, about Hilchah Shabbos. The laws of Shabbos are very serious. Even if the Eruv is 100% kosher, if the Rabbanim of the city, which is true, they are against this Eruv, they have good reasons. And the Rebbe was against this Eruv. How do I know? From Rabbi Groner, the Rebbe's head secretary. My father had the schus to speak with the Rebbe before the Rebbe became Rebbe. And amongst the things he spoke about was the laws of Eruv. And it was quite clear, although the Rebbe didn't say openly, that the Rebbe was very vehemently opposed to having an Eruv in Crown Heights. And I'll tell you one thing. I'll tell you what I saw not too long ago. People that are using the Eruv are not just using it, but abusing it. What do you mean by abusing? Carrying an umbrella on Shabbos. Umbrella you can't carry on Yom Tov either. An umbrella is not because, the problem with carrying an umbrella is not because of carrying. It's because of creating a tent over your head. You're not allowed to do that. That's a malacha even on Yom Tov. One second. And then number two, I've seen people, I saw a father going with his son with a tennis racket on Shabbos, you can carry, going to the park wearing shorts, and he's taking his kid, and it became a Saturday, not a Shabbos anymore. It destroyed the whole ruach of Shabbos by allowing people to carry. First of all, they make mistakes and carry umbrellas. Number two, when the Eruv goes down, and in the winter, the Eruv can easily go down with the winds. And in fact, it's almost inevitable that one Shabbos or another Shabbos, an Eruv becomes no longer valid, and people still carry. And there's a letter from the Rebbe in English that because of the people today are living in a much more permissive than they used to be in the olden days, I'm not for an Eruv unless there's someone who really knows what he's doing, is in charge, knows all the halachos, and makes sure that no one violates the law. Can you say that over here? Yeah, so I just wanted to let you know that the Gemara coming up has to do with this idea. You're not allowed to cause, even if you're a very authentic sage, and you know, and you might be right, and all the rabbis that are against you are wrong, you're not allowed to go against them. It's a very, very important principle. In fact, the Gemara, it's a whole topic of a Zaken Mamre. You know what a Zaken Mamre is? An authentic sage who receives smicha and issues halachic rulings and knows that he really knows. He's well versed in the entire Talmud, knows everything. Yet if he argues against the majority of the rabbis and tells people to act on it, you know what his punishment is? Loss of life. This is a rabbi, an authentic rabbi, and he has to be authentic. If he's not an authentic rabbi, we don't treat him, we just discard. But if he's an authentic rabbi, that's scary because it's going to cause a tremendous breakdown of halacha. People are going to start, you'll have like two religions. You know how to do that. Very important. And I never hear anyone talk about this. Even if the Eruv is 100% kosher, which it's not. Big questions when you can make an Eruv in Crown Heights. My father was a very big Bucky. Bucky is someone who's well versed in the laws of Eruv. And he said, if I would have the strength, I would stop this whole carrying with an Eruv because it's causing people. It's the opposite of what it was meant for. It was meant for to stop because in the old days people did not know laws of Shabbos well, and they were carrying in the street to avoid people who are anyways carrying. An Eruv would stop them from violating Shabbos. But if the Eruv is causing people to be Mechalel Shabbos by carrying umbrellas, for example, and by carrying even when the Eruv is down, had there not been an Eruv, they wouldn't carry. But because there is an Eruv, oh, we can carry. And then even the Eruv goes down, which it always does, especially in the winter, with the wind and the snow, they still carry. So excuse me for indulging in this, but it bothers me a lot when I see. I know that I'm 1,000% sure, if not 10,000% sure, that the Rebbe was against this. Anyone who says otherwise does not know what they're talking about. I'm talking about Crown Heights. I'm not talking about other places. Other places, other issues, but in Crown Heights, the Rebbe for sure was against it vehemently. You asked before you asked something. What would you want to ask?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, but I think you answered it. So the Rebbe wasn't against an era of like.
In general, no.
But just in Crown Heights.
And
like if it's
also other places, the Rebbe was also. The Rebbe never wanted to say he's against it, but he always spoke. Unless you have, he said, if you have someone who really is in charge and takes care of it and makes sure that no one will carry. If the Eruv goes down, then fine.
Like if in my home city, the Shulchan are using the era.
Which city is that?
Yeah.
Oh, Yemen. I mean, it's way different over there. I don't know this situation of every single city.
But I can rely.
I wouldn't. And you can do what you want.
Why wouldn't you?
I wouldn't carry even if the area was kosher. I don't feel comfortable carrying Shabbos. Even just don't feel comfortable. It's my personal thing. I don't know because of the fear of the worry they ever go down, and I'm not going to know about it. Mainly because of that. Yes.
So there's also this idea, I don't know if it was
What?
Moshe Feinstein or not.
Moshe Feinstein was against an Eruv in Brooklyn.
Correct.
And the Rebbe wanted him to publicize his psak. But Moshe Feinstein, a pretty big posek, no? Yeah, I know. Only we follow his coolest, only his leniencies we follow. That's what many people think. Whenever it comes to a chumrah, suddenly there are other gedolim. Moshe Feinstein was the posek of the generation. He was the posek of the generation, and he, take it seriously.
Right, but there are Chabad in Brooklyn that have.
I don't call them Chabad. Who says I don't? To me, they're not Chabad. If they carry anyone in Brooklyn, yeah, but not Crown Heights. If they carry in Crown Heights, they lose their whole status to me as Chabad.
I'm thinking of Brooklyn Wall. So No Basin is? No Basin is surrounded by three bodies of water. It's literally with its own little perfect area.
Yeah. I'm not.
And even a small
I'm not going to get into the intricacies of the laws of Eruv. It's very complicated, extremely complicated. I don't know. I know in Crown Heights that was against. That's all I can tell you. I don't know about Mill Basin. Other people maybe know more, but I know one thing is for sure. In Crown Heights, for sure not. Okay. Now, what does it have to do with the Gemara? Because over here you're going to have a rabbi, a very authentic rabbi. Yes, want to add something? Right, they needed. When do they really need the aid? When the Rebbe would bring every Shabbos, and the woman would say, "How come there was no aid of then?" They come up with all kinds of crazy answers. I'm not going to get into the answer they give. Stupid answers. Then, when the women really needed to be able to carry, because their husbands were away all Shabbos and were stuck with the baby, great if they can walk outside, and it was never. And the Rebbe was quite clear. If there would have been if there could have been an Eruv, there would have been an Eruv here in Crown Heights those days, and there wasn't. That itself is pretty conclusive proof to me. Common sense. And the people have agendas. To use the Eruv, it's much easier. And it's very easy to be biased for the Eruv than to be biased against the Eruv. Why would you not want an Eruv? Unless your agenda is the truth. Why would you want Dafka not to have an Eruv? What is your interest? What is your bias? But there is a bias to have an Eruv. It's so much easier. What?
When they're baby.
What do you do? They don't go. They don't go to shul.
Some children are hungry.
Sometimes they have a babysitter there. They're babysitters also. Ever hear of a babysitter?
What did the Rebbe say about the babysitting time?
What?
What did the Rebbe say about the babysitting time?
Oh,
What do you mean? What's wrong with being a babysitter on Shabbos?
can't
You
you?
get paid, you mean, for it?
Yeah,
Well, as long as you're a babysitter for the weekday too, and Shabbos is included, it's another child in Hilchos Shabbos. If you are also, let's say it's not just on Shabbos. If you're just on Shabbos, it might be a problem. But if you get paid for other days too, then it's included.
Also, you get-
Like for example, I lane in shul on Shabbos, but I prepare it before Shabbos. So I'm getting paid for the preparation. So even though I'm also getting paid for the actual laning itself, but because I have to also get paid for all the hours I spent in preparing, I'm allowed to get paid for the Shabbos too. It's called havlah. It's swallowed in. That's okay. If it's only for Shabbos, it becomes a problem. Yes.
But it's a dependent on non-Jews, like can you pay a non-Jew?
Because I'm going to get into all the halachas of Shabbos right now. I'm sorry.
Rabbi Greenberg about Shabbos.
But I don't.
I know, you have to ask the rabbi about Azaba.
Yeah,
Ask him.
I'm curious.
Rabbi Azaba. I know you're curious, but I want to learn some Gemara today.
But this is also important.
No,
Can we talk about the arrow?
can we talk about it? Can we just change something? No.
You started the conversation.
I know, but I'm ending now also. I started and I'm ending it. You're not letting me end. Can I end this conversation and learn the Gemara? I have permission?
Can we learn a Gemara about the arrow?
It's too hard. It's the most difficult subject in the three hardest tractates in the entire Talmud is Eruvin is number one, and there's two others. Levirate marriage is number two. I'm not saying it's number two. They're both the three of them. Eruvin, the laws of Nida, and the laws of levirate marriage are the three most difficult Nesechos and Shas. In fact, the first letter of these three tractates spell ani, poor. Eruvin, ayin, Nida, nun, Yevamot, yud. We are very poor now in these three tractates. Very few people are really, my father was one exception. Very few people really know the laws of Eruvin very, very well. It's so complicated, so intricate. Very intricate. Even rabbis that know a lot of other subjects will say they don't know, they're not well versed in Eruvin. Okay. My achnoi. What does achnoi mean? What are you smiling for? Have to keep people awake. This guy normal? That's why I get all kinds of looks. This guy's weird, right? Okay, my achnoi. What is it meant by the coiled serpent? Amar Rav. So Rav says, Amar Rabbi Yehuda. I'm sorry. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Shmuel. Try to focus. I know you. I made you laugh. Try to focus. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Shmuel. Rabbi Yehuda said in the name of Shmuel. It means that they, the sages, surrounded the oven, not literally, but figuratively speaking, with discussions like a coiled snake, and then declared it that it's tummy. They said, I'm sorry, Rabbi Eliezer, you're wrong. All the rabbis ganged up on him and surrounded him like a serpent, like a python, choking its victim, and he didn't give in. He still maintained that he's right and they're wrong. And listen what happened here. Tana, but on that day, here's a Bryce that tells us about the debate surrounding this oven. It's a whole story, a very famous Gemara. Everyone knows this Gemara. But on that day, Rabbi Eliezer called on that day, Rabbi Eliezer advanced all the arguments in the world to defend his lenient ruling. But the sages did not accept his arguments. Rabbi Eliezer said to them, you better accept it. I'm going to prove I'm right. And he said the following, Im halacha kamoisi, if the halacha accords with me, there was a carob tree right outside. Let this carob tree prove it. Let it move out of its place. And miraculously, according to one view, the carob tree was uprooted from its place and moved 100 cubits, like about 150 feet. But Amri some say much more. Arba ameyas amma. It moved 400 amos, which is about 600 feet. And the rabbi said, I don't care about your miracles, that you're showing proof that you can make miracles to prove you're right. Unconvinced, the rabbi said to him, you cannot bring a proof from a carob tree. Ein mevim raya min hacharuv. I don't care. The carob tree is not, rabbi. You don't bring proofs from what's going on with the tree. Chazar, he then said, Im halacha kamosi, if the halacha accords with me, let the water canal prove it. Let the water canal go against its normal flow. Usually it flows downward, let it flow back upwards. And miraculously, the water in the water canal flowed backward, upward, which is not normal for water to do that. Proving that he's right. I made a miracle to show him right. The water is listening to me. The sage said to him, I'm sorry, I don't care what you do, but with the water, you cannot bring a proof from a water canal. He then said to them, if I am right, let the walls of the Beis HaMedrash prove it. And the walls of the Beis HaMedrash started to shake and tilt and fall. That's pretty dangerous. To prove, he's saying, if I am right, let them assign a proof from heaven that I am right by the walls moving. If the walls move, I am right. And the walls did move, meaning tilting, leaning downward. What happened? Rabbi Yeshua screamed at the walls, what are you mixing in? Who are you? You're just a wall. You're not a rabbi. You can't give your opinion. Immediately Rabbi Yeshua rebuked the walls. And he says to the walls, if Torah scholars with one another are having discussions, who are you to mix in? And the walls remained in one place. They were about to fall, and they stood upright, but upright on a slant. Till today, some say this whole thing was only a dream, it wasn't a real story that actually happened. There are others say that it's all metaphoric, it wasn't actually a wall. It refers to not to the walls, but to the students, that all the students should start siding with him, and they all got scared and they started siding with him. There are different rules, different ways of learning this Gemara here, but according to the simple meaning, it actually happened. And what did Rabbi Yeshua do? He screamed, rebuked the walls, and he told them, what are you mixing in? Atem mativchem, what's your business of deciding halacha? So what happened was, because of Rabbi Yeshua was one of the sages who fought against Rabbi Eliezer. There were others, but he was the head sage of all the sages. And he said, and in his honor, the walls did not fall out of respect for Rabbi Yeshua, but they did not go back to its normal size because of Rabbi Eliezer. So it remained on a slant till today. That's what the Gemara says. But yet, neither did the wall stand upright as before out of respect for Rabbi Eliezer. So it remained as in the middle. It didn't fall and it wasn't back to normal again. And Rabbi Yeshua says, I'm not budging one iota. We are the rabbis, we are the majority, and the Torah says, follow the majority. Now, it's interesting. Why did what's the reason why what's the reason why the rabbis disagreed? We don't know the reason. Doesn't say here, but we know one thing: they're the majority, and you always follow the majority, no matter how convincing the minority opinion is. That's a rule. The Torah says always follow the majority, unless the majority are not rabbis. I mean, you can follow the majority, you can follow the non-Jews in the street. That's not rabbi. But the rabbis who are authentic and go by the rules. And if they come up logically with a conclusion that makes sense to them, you follow that. Very important. Yes. Can't what? Can't do what?
Is that the same Rabbi Eliezer
That
said women cannot read the Gemara?
I've never heard of Rabbi Eliezer saying that. Which Rabbi Eliezer is that? I have to look it up. I'm not sure. But that's only for a reason. That reason doesn't apply anymore today. The reason is because it leads them to today. It's the other way around. By not learning, your mind gets involved with who knows what's out there in the streets. So the Rebbe wanted women, girls, to learn not everything the boys learn, because that's not gonna. It doesn't make. But certainly Gemaras that have to do with Yiras Shamayim, certain Gemaras that have to do with halachas that women are obligated, like the laws of Shabbos, and the laws of decency and harassing other people, which is learning what we're learning about. That's related to all, to men and women equally. I wouldn't go through a whole, very intricate conversation in Gemara back and forth because you get a headache. Your mom would get a headache from it. We'll see. If I go give you one example of what a Gemara looks like, what a real heavy, intricate Gemara looks like, you go, really? Boys learn this? Oh, how can they tolerate it? It's so boring and it's so I get a headache from this. It's not boring. It's actually it's challenging. Not that girls aren't smart, but it's not that. It's just that it's
Another kind of mind, no?
it's the mindset that men are much more philosophical than women. Like women are much more practical, more down to earth. No, philosophical means that they're abstract, that they're in the you don't find that many women philosophers today.
I think now there's more.
Although now, yeah, everything now is crazy. I had last week a bunch of guests, women. I had two girls coming to me, not from here, and they were mechanical engineers. They're learning in college to be mechanical engineers. I said, "What? Everyone was a mechanical engineer." And 20% of their class are women. 20%. It's pretty high. Mechanical engineers for women, it's not exactly what you would expect. A lot of women doctors today, much more than ever before. Much more than ever before.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe getting ready for the Gula where the women will be superior.
Well, it has nothing to do with their ability, it has everything to do with the society and.
Yeah. No, but it has to do with
But doesn't it
but
take
more,
more
women enjoy more things that are down to earth, practical, than rather. Listen, I don't want to offend anyone here.
I think they used to really, but now they.
Maybe
they
things-
sort of women.
Generally speaking, it's no problem, but it's just
I didn't go with, no.
okay. Let's go. Let's see the Gemara further on. Anyway,
Oh, very good, we want to ask
Yeah.
you.
Yep.
You boys learned the laws of marriage from the Gemara.
not directly from the Gemara. Gemara is only a base. You have to learn the Shulchan Aruch. Because from the Gemara, you can't rule. You can't give an authentic ruling from the Gemara straightforward. You have to know what all the sages after Gemara say. Not so. You can't learn from the Gemara directly. Gemara is very interesting, back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. But the final ruling you don't get from the Gemara. For that you have to have Shulchan Aruch. Yes.
It's not enough for the rabbi, because schools don't happen, like, without the rabbi's life, to change their minds, we're going to give a chance to say school.
Okay. Good question. That's what I want to get to. So the answer to the question that you're asking is, why didn't they change their mind? If Rabbi Lezer was so convincing, and it sounds from Shemayim, because Hashem purposely did this. You know what Hashem did this for? Why did he allow Rabbi Lezer to make all these miracles? Not that he should be proven to be right. That we should follow him. Yeah, he might be right, but not to follow him. Because what happens hundreds of years later? Someone's going to say, I know I'm right. So we'll tell him, Rabbi Lezer also knew he was right. He was a pretty big sage, bigger than you. And miracles happened through him. And yet, Hashem knew that Rabbi Yeshua and all the other rabbis would stand strong and not budge one iota, to prove for all generations to come that if the majority follows a certain way of thinking, even if you think they're wrong, you might even be a greater sage than them. You're not greater than Rabbi Lezer was. You can't make miracles. And even he lost the fight. We'll soon see what happened to him. He was excommunicated. Rabbi Lezer was excommunicated. That's what Gemara said. And he was very hurt by this, but he was excommunicated. So it tells you how careful you have to be not to think just because you're so learned, you know so much, that you have the right to go against the majority. Even if you feel the majority, the story was to prove it. Here's a lesson for all generations to come. As great as you are, you can even make miracles. It happened once before. Rabbi Lezer did this, and we still don't follow him. And Hashem knew that Rabbi Yeshua and the rabbis will not surrender. So it will be a lesson for all generations to come. No matter how strong you think you are, how convincing you are, you can't fight against the majority opinion. As long as the majority are rabbis who are authentic rabbis, not conservative or reform rabbis. I'm talking about people who are, they know, they're religious, and they know, and they're authentic, and they are able to give rulings. Okay. So nothing helped. The last line. Neither did they write. They write themselves out of respect for Rabbi Lezer. They didn't stand upright either, and they still continue to lean to this day. On the next side of the page, Rabbi Lezer then said to the sages, he didn't give up yet. If the halacha accords with me, let there be a heavenly voice saying I'm right. If you don't like the walls of the Beis Hamedrash and you don't like all the other proofs, let God himself prove I'm right. And guess what? Yotza Baskol, there was a Baskol, a heavenly echo, went forth and proclaimed, Malachem Eitzel Rabbi Eliezer. What are you arguing with Rabbi Eliezer? The halacha is like him in all places. Didn't say about this issue, but he's always right. What are you arguing against him? Amad Rabbi Yeshua al Raglav, Rabbi Yeshua, hearing this heavenly voice, stood on his feet and declared, I'm sorry, the oven is impure. Lo b'shamayim hi, the Torah is not in heaven. It was given to us. Hashem didn't pick us up to heaven. He brought heaven down on earth. He brought the Torah down on earth. And we rule against that heavenly voice. The Gemara says, what do you mean by the Torah is not in heaven? My lo b'shamayim came from Shamayim, came from heaven. Rabbi Yirmiyah said, it means that we pay no heed to a heavenly echo in matters of halacha. For the Torah was already given to man at Mount Sinai. Yes, it came from heaven, but it was given to earth. Gemara relates the rest of Rabbi Shua's response to the heavenly echo. Ein anu mashgichim bevasko. We do not pay attention to a heavenly echo. Shekvar kosafta b'har Sinai, because you already wrote in the Torah at Mount Sinai, acharei rabim lahatais, according to the majority of the matter shall be decided. And since the majority of the sages dispute Rabbi Eliezer, that's it. It's over. The Gemara concludes, Ashkechei Rabbi Nassan Lelayo. Rabbi Nassan once met Elijah. He often spoke with him, and he meets Rabbi Eliyahu Hanavi. Armalei, Rabbi Nassan says to Eliyahu Hanavi, what is God doing right now? What was the Holy One? My Ovid Kuchibrichu Ba'ahiv Shaita. What exactly is the Holy One, as Hashem himself, doing? Who is he agreeing with? Armalei, so Eliyahu responds to him and says, my children have prevailed over me. My children have prevailed over me. God is, wow, he's so proud of his kindlach, of Rabbi Shua and the majority of it. Even though they know that I agree with Rabbi Eliezer, they're overriding my ruling. Based on understanding my ruling, based on the laws of Torah, on the principles of Torah, they're going against my own view. And Hashem is proud of his children, like a father is proud of his children, overriding the father. And he said it twice. Natzchuni, they have been victorious over me. They have been victorious over me. First of all, with all the examples of the miracle that took place. And then second of all, with going against my own, the Baskol, the heavenly voice coming from Shemayim, and yet they stood strong. I'm proud of them. Well, I wanted to finish the story that I started on Tuesday. Not related to Gemara at all, obviously. Yeah, but you have to stay here in 5 minutes, otherwise time is up. Actually, I don't want to keep people late, but there's no other class out there now, so I feel a little less guilty. I don't know where I left off. The story is like this: Rabbi Majeski's wife, Majeski's sister, rather. I'm sorry, Majeski's sister was in a coma together with my wife. They're both in a coma. And she was worse off than my wife. Majeski gave me a pigeon, gave me brought his own pan on behalf of his sister, who did not look like she would survive. And he gave it to me to go to the oil. He stayed with his sister, and I went to the oil from the hospital in Jersey. And I go to the oil, I read his pigeon. I'm going to say what I read. I read his pigeon, and I drove back to the hospital. When I drove back to the hospital, a miracle occurred. His wife, his sister, the person who died, wife, meaning the person, the driver who was dead on arrival, DOA, as they say. His wife recovered. She wasn't out of the coma yet, but she was like completely, it was a total miracle that she is recovering, although she was still in a semi-coma. The next morning, she woke up. And I think a week later, less than a week later, she was already home. So I had a fickle chalik in reading the Pidyon Nefesh of Rabbi Majeski, and the Rebbe responded with a miracle. That's the story with Rabbi Majeski. My wife's story is totally different. She was not Zoiche to have a speedy recovery like that. She went through stages that was called subdural hematoma, which is a brain injury, very serious brain injury. And the doctors were telling me anything could happen. We're the brain, we don't know. If she could, the worst could possibly happen, or the best could possibly happen, or something in between. There's nothing we know. The brain is most delicate part of the body, and anything could happen. We hope for but it's a long haul, Rabbi. It's a long haul. Nothing's going to happen overnight. It's a long haul. Okay. Thank you for all for your very comforting words. It's a long haul. This is what they told me. Okay. She was 5 weeks in the hospital in Morristown Memorial. This was the hospital, local hospital there, which was brought up after the accident, and was transferred from Morristown Memorial Hospital to a rehab center while she was still in a coma. She was in a coma for 2 more weeks. During the time when she was about to be transferred, things were a lot better. The doctors were giving a much better prognosis. That's when I decided to write a letter to the Rebbe. Now, my children, little kids at that time, they were by in-laws. They were all in New York, in Crown Heights. Girls were in Beis Rivka. The boys were in Oli Torah or about Yeshiva, whatever. And they were by my sister-in-law, my brother-in-laws in Crown Heights. So it was just me at home. And I used to travel every day to rehab to see how he's doing and then go back. And I would also teach. So that was like a lot of driving. I did that every day, almost every day. Then one day, after a hard day's work, I'm sitting there and I'm all alone. It's kind of, miserable. Yeah. He has a yappy job. So, you're very broken, and you're alone. Your wife is, the kids are away, and the wife is. So I sat down. I'm going to write a letter to the Rebbe. I never get answers. I never got an answer even before Gimel Tammuz. I never got a clear answer from the Rebbe about anything. Only once I did. One time I did. But almost every time I didn't receive any clear answers. So I wasn't expecting any answer. And I write to the Rebbe the following. I say, Baruch Hashem, the doctors are giving a much better prognosis, but I want her to recover completely. And I want to know whether she should walk upstairs. When she comes home, hopefully in a good time, and a good auspicious time, should she be careful with stairs? Then I said, and I also would like to know, what is the keli? What do I have to do? What exactly is the keli for her refuah shlema? Then the final thing I wrote was, should she have visitors? Brain trauma, visitors might be too much for her. I open up Igros Kodesh, volume 21, page 136. And 136 has a significance. I'll tell you in a second what's significant. I open up page 136. Here's the response. I'm glad to hear that your health is improving and the doctors are giving you a better prognosis. I will mention your name at the gravesite of my father-in-law. Concerning going up steps, this is only one time in 40 volumes where Rebbe speaks about going up steps. Concerning going upstairs, which I asked, it's a letter written to someone else completely in Morocco. I would advise you to follow the doctors, and it's not safe to walk upstairs. My wife has fallen numerous times going up and down stairs, not in the house, but outside the house, meaning buildings outside. When she tried to go to shul, walk upstairs, she fell. Don't go upstairs, the Rebbe is saying. And in terms of what's the keli for shlema, be talking in Hashem. And I'm sure you're going to have many visitors, especially Rabbi Butman. The Rebbe answered me in the exact order of what I wrote. What are the odds? So I went crazy when I heard this. Now, what is the significance of 136? Kof Lamed Vav is 136. You look into the Shemon Esrei on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, it says there are 3 things that nullify evil decrees: tshuva, tefillah, and tzedakah. Each one of them is connected to a number 136. Tshuva, when do you do tshuva? When you fast. Fast days are tshuva. Tzom tzadik vav mem is 136. Tzedakah, mammon. Mammon is 136. And tefillah, kol, kuf vav lamed, 136. So the page that I open up to is connected to the number that removes all kinds of evil decrees. When I saw that, I wanted to hug the Rebbe on the other side of the table. I felt like he was sitting right next to me. Felt like it was unbelievable feeling. It was a phenomenal feeling. And Baruch Hashem, miracles work. Not 100%, but she certainly recovered miraculously, and she is able to function. That's, I mean, there's much more I can tell, but this is what I'm gonna late now. Anyways, I'll suffice with this. This is the end part of the story that I started telling on Tuesday. There's a lot more to tell, but this is a little bit. Small segment of what I write a whole Megillah on the whole story. So quite fascinating story. But this is just the general gist of it. Okay. Yeah. Oof. Who's Esther?
Esther, she got married. Her husband is your student. Your
Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos. Good Erev Shabbos. Good Shabbos, yeah. Sorry for saying a little late.
Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos, everyone here.